Hi everyone, and welcome to another marvelous video. We are all aware of the DCeased saga, which began in July 2019 with Tom Taylor's DCeased comic series. The story is about a corrupted anti-life equation that was accidentally created by Darkseid and took down planets and billions of living beings. The infected ones, or the blighted ones, were down with only one objective: to spread death. The saga deals with many superheroes and supervillains succumbing to the virus and resorting to a wild madness for destruction. The story is spread into 3 comic series and 3 spin-offs, which elaborates parallel plots taking place during the infection and later merging into one. As such, storylines with a viral infection revolve around the characters who succumb to it. In today's video, we will be exploring all the characters who got infected with the corrupted anti-life equation. It is a long list and proceeds in sync with the storyline. So without any further delay, let us begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Darkseid. The first character on our list is the one who is responsible for creating the infection. As showcased in DCeased issue 1, a team of superheroes on Earth have just emerged victorious in stopping yet another invasion by Darkseid. After receiving a fatal blow from Superman which broke his jaw, Darkseid was forced to retreat with his horde of parademons. However, Darkseid did not seem fazed by the defeat. Upon being warned by the heroes for never arriving on Earth, he clearly stated that he had no purpose and he had achieved his target. Soon, Batman sensed CYBORG missing from Earth. He planted a secret tracking device on CYBORG, signaling that the latter was not even in the galaxy. It was then revealed that Darkseid had visited Earth for CYBORG. Darkseid had learned that CYBORG contained half of the anti-life equation within him, which he wanted to extract and merge with the other half inside him. CYBORG was taken to Apocalypse, where Darkseid's minion DCeased tortured him. They dissected his cybernetic body, and to prevent him from dying, Darkseid summoned the Black Racer. However, while transferring, the equation got corrupted and made Darkseid fall into overwhelming despair, thereby infecting him. DCeased was immune to it, and he quickly sent CYBORG away in a boom tube to Earth. Meanwhile, the infected Darkseid dived into the core of Apocalypse and destroyed the planet. Darkseid soon began infecting other beings in the universe with the corrupted anti-life equation. An infected Darkseid went on a massive rampage across galaxies. He destroyed planets, infected other gods, and even killed powerful beings. When the Sinestro Corps confronted him, he crushed Sinestro's head and took his ring to gain access to the powers of a Yellow Lantern. Darkseid was later recovered by the combined efforts of Superman, Spectre, and Lobo in DCeased War of Undead Gods issue number 7. CYBORG. Although CYBORG was not affected by the infection, he was infected when Darkseid tried transmitting the anti-life equation. Within CYBORG, the corrupted anti-life equation transformed into a techno-organic virus. While Darkseid began infecting the universe, CYBORG carried the virus to Metropolis, Earth. The virus began spreading rapidly via the internet without his understanding of what had happened. Anyone with a smartphone connected to the internet transformed into a mindless zombie-like being upon looking at its screen. In a minute, millions of people were infected and the world was in a state of an apocalypse. The virus, being techno-organic, also spread by a blood infection, and the infected ones soon began spreading the infection at an exponentially high rate. As CYBORG did not get affected, he aided the superheroes for a long time until an infected Wonder Woman tore his head apart. CYBORG was later revived and the cure was obtained from him. When the new gods were infected, CYBORG, during a battle, fought against an infected Brainiac and gained complete control over Brainiac systems. Tim Drake and Nightwing. Once the infection began spreading, the Bat family members were the early losses to the team of superheroes. While Batman was analyzing the magnitude of the infection, his computer had already taken firewall precautions against the virus. Batman learns about the virus and realizes that the connections at Wayne Manor have not yet been disabled. During that moment, Tim Robin aka Tim Drake and Dick Grayson aka Nightwing were probably watching the news and soon got infected. As Batman charged into his manor, Alfred informed him that the two were infected. Following this, Batman takes the fight to the two of his best sidekicks and asks Alfred to escape. Both Tim Drake and Dick Grayson were killed by the combined efforts of Alfred and Batman. Aquaman. The losses were huge for the family, and the act of shooting the two young members of the family left a deep scar on Alfred's mind. Batman. Batman going down in the second issue of the DCeased saga was one of the most unexpected twists in the series. It was one of the boldest decisions taken by writer Tom Taylor. While fighting the infected Nightwing and Red Robin, Batman also got infected. After being forced to kill the two, Batman and Alfred managed to reach the Batcave and use Mr. Freeze's cryosuit to slow down Batman's infection. He first made contact with the three faster speedsters, Barry Allen, Wallace West and Wally West, to warn them about the dangers if they get infected. While Barry and Wallace followed the instruction and went into hiding, Wally West declined and chose to help the people of Keystone. Meanwhile, Superman managed to save his family along with Damian, who had been at their place with his son. While they grouped with a few of the other Justice League members, Batman calls them. After wearing Mr. Freeze's cryosuit, his metabolism slowed down, preventing the infection from spreading. He had used the time to study his own infected blood and learn more about the virus. Batman informs them about its nature and how the virus spreads. He then states that he does not have much time. He tells Damian that he has left something for him with Alfred, and it's what he always deserved. Batman then completely transformed into the undead, and Alfred shot him and killed the man who he had once raised as a child. Max Mercury. Max Mercury was a speedster who lived in Manchester with a young speedster Bart Allen, aka Impulse. In the DCeased saga, he first appeared in DCeased Hope at World's End, issue 3. The issue showcased Wally West, who rushed to help Bart and Max after learning about the virus. He dashed into their house and destroyed all the screens. The three speedsters, Max, Wally and Bart, were soon joined by another speedster, Jesse Quick. Wally explained to them about the virus in a second, and the four began moving around to rescue people. Batman asked Wally to hide, as having him infected would bring about the worst scenario. But he did not listen to them and continued rescuing people. The speedsters soon realized that the entire world was infected and that there was no safe place to take the survivors to. However, Max suggested that they could shift them to a parallel Earth. They soon arrived at the Flash Museum and activated the tandem cosmic treadmill. While Max and Jesse Quick defended the place, Wally and Bart began running on the treadmill to create a rift to a parallel Earth. However, Bart Allen fell and crashed at high speed into a horde of the anti-living. It was then Max who used his full potential to rescue Bart, moments before getting infected and dashing towards the treadmill with Jesse. Soon the portal was created and they safely managed to reach a parallel world. Unfortunately, Max was injured during the rescue, making him infected. However, instead of killing him, the three speedsters spared a portion of their speed and made Max merge with the Speed Force, where he could keep running forever. Aquaman. During the early days of the infection, the heroes were isolated, for which some of them were infected and transformed and joined the army of the undead. One of them was Aquaman. The second issue of DCeased begins with Aquaman in the North Atlantic Ocean, who takes interest in rescuing a stranded cruise ship which seems to have gone through some sort of distress. Once he got on the deck looking for survivors, a large number of the infected from within the ship emerged and attacked him. Aquaman fell into the sea along with the infected ones and was soon shown to be transformed into one of the anti-living. The infected Aquaman soon charged towards Atlantis, infecting several Atlanteans before confronting Mera and Garth, aka Tempest. He contaminated the water with his blood, following which Garth inhaled it and got infected, while Mera managed to escape. Aquaman later appeared while attempting to infiltrate Themyscira with the army of anti-living Atlanteans. While he attacked the Amazonians on his Kraken, Green Arrow shot his arrow through Aquaman's head and killed him. Joker. The coolest part of the storyline was how the villains received or reacted to the ongoing apocalyptic threat. While the world burns, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy can be seen in Gotham City. Harley wishes to end everything with the Joker and wants Poison Ivy to assist her while confronting the Clown Prince of Gotham. However, Poison Ivy convinced Harley to go alone while she waited for her return. Harley arrived at the Joker's den and confronted him, stating that everything between them was over. Joker was then sitting in front of several television screens from which he was infected. He soon chased Harley, who, without any clue, believed it to be one of his abusive tricks. However, Harley was done running and she turned around and shot Joker and killed him. Hal Jordan. As the virus kept spreading, millions lost their loved ones. The losses were hard to forget, and one such was for Green Lantern Hal Jordan. Hal is considered one of the best Green Lanterns ever to exist, but that did not stop him from getting infected. Among the scattered heroes of the Earth, Oliver, Dinah and Hal had gone camping somewhere outside Metropolis. While Hal kept quiet and seemed not to enjoy much, Dinah and Oliver had great fun pulling his leg for being a party spoiler. Hal was done and he left their company and engaged with his foe. That was it. Hal Jordan got infected and transformed into an undead, anti-living Green Lantern. Unbeknownst to Oliver what just happened, he shot punch-glove arrows at Hal. Hal was about to attack Oliver before Dinah, aka Black Canary, screamed so loud at Hal Jordan that the latter died. The Green Lantern power ring left Hal's finger and chose Dinah to be the new wielder. Soon Black Canary became a Green Lantern. Garth was an Atlantean superhero known as Aqualad before becoming the superhero Tempest. Before Garth got infected, he was with Mera trying to create a force field for the Atlanteans against threats. As she struggled to push the tide, Mera mocked him by stating how he should change his name from Tempest to Mr. Mild Weather Event. However, the struggles were real and the water grew thick and dark. Before they could wonder much about the growing darkness, Aquaman could be seen charging at top speed, killing and infecting other Atlanteans. The blood of the infected spread rapidly and Garth inhaled it. Mera tried warning him, but it was too late and Garth joined the army of undead Atlanteans. Mera was next, but she managed to use her powers to push them away along with the infected water and escape. Garth was later seen during the attack of the infected Atlanteans on Themyscira. 5 years later, when the cure was obtained, Garth was cured, following which he reunited with Mera. CLAYFACE. Amongst the supervillains who got infected, there was Basil Karlo, aka CLAYFACE. In DCeased issue number 3, Superman, after safely isolating his family along with a few others at Daily Planet, left for his mom and dad in Smallville. While hovering at top speed, he made stops to help survivors and asked them to head towards Daily Planet in Metropolis. He soon encountered Jefferson Pierce, aka Black Lightning, and his daughters in a chopper, struggling against an infected CLAYFACE. Although it was unknown how he got infected, it can be predicted to have happened somewhere in Gotham or Metropolis. However, CLAYFACE shape-shifted his body to trap Jefferson's helicopter and take it down. Fortunately, Superman helped by cutting his tendrils with his heat vision, allowing Jefferson and his family to escape. This was the one appearance of CLAYFACE in the saga, and although he was not killed, he remained infected. Jonathan Kent. After traveling approximately 160 kilometers through billions of undead beings, Superman finally reached Smallville to rescue his adoptive parents. While Martha was safe, Jonathan was infected. When Superman arrived, Martha informed him that she had hit Jonathan and managed to trap him in their bunker. Superman opened the bunker from where an infected Jonathan Kent emerged. Superman watched him in despair as the undead tried attacking Superman. With no other option, Superman locked him again and left with his mother Martha to Metropolis. 5 years later, when the cure was found, Jonathan was cured, following which he reunited with his family. The Atom. While the infection kept spreading, Captain Atom, Ray Palmer, and Amanda Waller were trying to study the nature of the virus under Project Cadmus. According to the project's protocol, Ray Palmer, aka the Atom, had shrunk to a microscopic level and entered the body of an infected police officer to study the virus on a molecular level. However, during the process, he was infected and he soon joined the army of the anti-living. Captain Atom. While Captain Atom and Amanda Waller waited for Ray Palmer to return, the latter was infected by the equation, and being shrunk in size, he entered the body of Captain Atom. Unbeknownst to what happened to Ray Palmer, Amanda Waller enacted Plague Protocol C and ordered Captain Atom to purge the infected from the worst affected areas. While doing so, he realized something was wrong with him as infected Ray Palmer went inside. Captain Atom proceeded to attack his heart microscopically and infect him as well. Soon, Captain Atom began destabilizing. Superman and Wonder Woman quickly arrived and grabbed him to take him high into the upper atmosphere. However, before they could get high, Captain Atom erupted, causing an explosion equivalent to 10 nuclear bombs, decimating everything around. Newly formed Green Lantern, Dinah managed to secure the Daily Planet building by encasing it in a bubble, while Captain Atom died along with Ray Palmer. Giganta. Before Captain Atom exploded and took down a large part of the United States, the surviving heroes had to face the threat of an infected Giganta. While Superman returned to the Daily Planet with Martha, Lois began broadcasting a message to the entire world. She informed everyone to join and stick together against the infected army. Several survivors and even superheroes heard the message. Wonder Woman got the news and made her way to Metropolis, while Superman and Dinah went in search of survivors, where they met Wallace West and Barry in Keystone. Upon meeting them, it was revealed that Batman, before dying, had contacted the two speedsters and had asked them to hide from everyone. Meanwhile, back at the Daily Planet, everyone hears a series of loud, ground-shaking thunders. Soon, an infected Giganta appeared and attacked the survivors, who were nervous yet prepared to stop her. Out of nowhere, a bat jet appeared in the sky and fired at Giganta, following which Superman arrived and knocked her down. Wonder Woman also arrived and was about to kill her, only to be stopped by Superman, who believed that the infected could be cured. However, all that was put to waste as CYBORG appeared and shot a hole through Giganta's skull. Killer Croc. Although it is not elaborated on how or when in DCeased issue number 5, we got to see an infected Killer Croc trying to spread infection and attack the non-infected. The story continues after Metropolis and 2 other cities were decimated by Captain Atom's explosion. Only a few survivors were left enclosed in a protective bubble created by Green Lantern Dinah. Despite not being in a bubble, Lex Luthor somehow managed to survive the nuclear explosion and soon joined the survivors, calling a truce with Superman. The heroes then destroyed every major internet server and communication satellite in the world. The only source of infection was from the infected ones, and the remaining survivors took shelter in Themyscira. Gotham existed and was covered in forest. It was Poison Ivy who protected herself and Harley Quinn inside the Greens. They were soon visited by Oliver, Dinah and Damian, who had, by then, taken over the mantle of Batman. While they were about to enter the jungle, an infected Killer Croc appeared and attacked them. However, before the struggle could begin, Poison Ivy appeared and impaled Croc with vines. She restrained the heroes as well, but they were soon released. Black Adam. While the world burned with the corrupted anti-life equation, one nation stood tall with the least amount of infection, and that was Kahndaq. It was ruled by their dictator Black Adam, who, upon learning the cause of the infection, disconnected the country from the world. The ones who were infected were neutralized by Black Adam without a second thought. However, as fate overlaps all precautions, even Black Adam was infected. Black Adam was one of the strongest beings on the planet, and when he became infected, the tables turned heavily towards the side of the undead. His story begins in DCeased Hope at World's End issue number 2. The remaining superheroes began building sanctuaries where the non-infected ones could take refuge. Themyscira became one of them, followed by Poison Ivy's jungle. Superman and Wonder Woman continued rescuing people who were not infected, and while doing so, they met John Jones, aka the Martian Manhunter. He came with the news of a place where everyone could take refuge, and that was the nation of Kahndaq. Superman met Black Adam and tried convincing him, but the latter denied, stating that Superman and his team would become an obstruction to his harsh methods of keeping the nation clean. Superman left, but his words were persuasive. Black Adam returned and asked his advisor, Vorenus, about his ways and actions. He wondered if his people thought well about his actions. To learn more about his country and its people, Black Adam called out Shazam and went for a walk with Vorenus in his human form. He soon encountered a lady crying, who stated that her son was injured during Black Adam's fight against the undead. Black Adam sought to check on the child, but when he opened the door, the child appeared infected. At that moment, he screamed Shazam, but the infected child had already scratched him before he could transform. Thus, Black Adam became infected in his divine form. After Black Adam got infected, the entire Kahndaq succumbed to the infestation in minutes. He also infected many other superheroes and led a massive horde of undead armies. army. Later, he was defeated by the combined efforts of Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Superman and Lex Luthor. Following the plan devised by Lex, Wonder Woman used her lasso of truth to make Black Adam utter the word Shazam, following which he was transformed into his human self. Lex wanted them to kill Black Adam, but instead Superman used his heat vision to destroy his vocal cord and prohibit him from ever saying the magical words. Nightshade and Hive. While the infection spread across the globe rapidly, the superheroes and other powerful beings managed to isolate themselves and other survivors in safe shelters. However, this only delayed their forthcoming danger, as the undead army could sense the living and soon target them. Among many safe camps, there was the fortress of Jotunheim in CROC, which was set up by Raza Kutta and Manticore, along with Nightshade and Hive. Showcased in DCeased, Hope at World's End, issue number 4, Aerie, after carrying Wink and flying for 3 days straight, has found shelter at Jotunheim in CROC. Upon reaching, they learnt that Hive and Nightshade had been sent on a scouting mission. It had been quite long since they had not returned, so Aerie and Wink decide to fly and look out for them. However, while searching, Aerie noticed the massive horde of anti-living heading towards Jotunheim. An infected Black Adam led the horde, and it had infected Nightshade and Hive as well. Wink quickly teleported Aerie back to the fortress, and they realized that soon they were going to be under attack. While Raza and Manticore disagreed on leaving the fortress, Aerie left to search for help from the strong heroes who could defend them from an infected Black Adam. Soon the horde of the undead arrived and attacked the fortress. Wink managed to teleport Black Adam inside the mountain base of the fortress, but that did not help much, as he soon tore his way out of it. Meanwhile, Nightshade used her powers to open a portal inside the fortress, following which the horde of the undead began rushing in and infecting others. Luckily, Aerie was fast enough to find help from Wonder Woman, who arrived with her friends Cyborg, Superman, Martian, Manhunter, Dinah, Hawkgirl and HAWKMAN. They managed to stop Black Adam and Hawkgirl, and HAWKMAN pushed the infected ones into Nightshade's portal, trapping them in the land of the Nightshades temporarily. Although not much is known about Hive, Nightshade fought as one of the infected for quite a long time. She was finally killed by Pied Piper by stabbing his flute through her head. HAWKMAN. During the attack of the undead at the fortress of Jotunheim in CROC, HAWKMAN was one of the heroes who extended their help in taking down the infected horde led by Black Adam. While Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian, Manhunter and Green Lantern Dinah fought the infected army outside, Hawkgirl and HAWKMAN went inside to fight the infected ones inside. These infected beings were sent inside the fortress with the help of Nightshade. Manticore was also infected, and it became increasingly difficult for the survivors to deal with. Fortunately, HAWKMAN and Hawkgirl beat and pushed the infected ones back into Nightshade's portal. However, after the last infected one was sent and everyone was released, Manticore's hand appeared from the portal and dragged HAWKMAN into it. HAWKMAN was later shown to be infected and as a member of the anti-living. Atom Smasher. While Superman, Wonder Woman and all the strongest heroes were elsewhere, the younger superheroes were tasked to guard survivors assembled at Nantucket. It was close to Gotham, Poison Ivy's sanctuary, and all the survivors were scrutinized and then transported into the sanctuary by Green Lantern Dinah. Albert Rothstein, aka the Atom Smasher, was also there to accompany them. While batches were being cleared and transported, Nightshade's portal opened from nowhere, and soon millions of infected anti-living led by Black Adam began attacking. Now, Atom Smasher was the superhero who could increase his size and density, and so his huge size easily helped him take down thousands of infected at a time. However, Black Adam flew through his shoulders, following which Atom Smasher also became infected. Being infected, Atom Smasher began attacking the living. While Damian, Stephanie Brown and Talia al Ghul fought the anti-living, they were about to get crushed by Atom Smasher before Superboy and Wonder Girl saved them. The two then managed to knock the Smasher into the ocean. Later, when the horde of infected beings attacked Poison Ivy's sanctuary, Pied Piper lured the horde into the land of the Nightshades, after which he killed Nightshade. Following the infected Nightshade's death, the horde and Atom Smasher were permanently trapped in the dimension. Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is almost as strong as Superman and possesses unique powers. When the corrupted anti-life equation began spreading, he was one of the superheroes who fought alongside Superman to save as many people as possible. He was there during Superman's futile attempts to convince Black Adam to provide refuge in his country, and also during the fight at Jotunheim. He was not one of those who could be infected easily. It was even impossible to lay hands on him, as he could phase through solid objects. However, he too was infected, not by a mere mortal, but by Black Adam. The event happens in DCeased, Hope at World's End, issue number 12. Following the attack of the anti-living at Nantucket, Atom Smasher was infected but taken down by Wonder Girl and Superboy. However, the real threat was an infected Black Adam. Superboy and Wonder Girl tried stopping him but was soon overpowered. Black Adam was about to deliver his final blow on Superboy, who, in fear and agony, screamed for his dad at the top of his voice. Soon Superman arrived, and as a protective father, he struck Black Adam with such immense force that the powerful being of the power of gods was thrown far away into the ocean. Soon Barry Wallace, Martian Manhunter and Wonder Woman arrived, and they began evacuating Nantucket. They planned on taking the survivors via big ships. While a few were being taken into the ship, an infected Black Manta fired at them and caused a massive explosion. Unfortunately, Martian Manhunter was trapped in it, as his weakness was fire. However, he chose to help the survivors when Black Adam arrived and attacked him. He scratched Martian Manhunter's torso and left him infected. All this while Cyborg and Lex managed to engineer closed communication systems and transformed the Fortress of Solitude into the new information hub. After dealing with the crisis at Nantucket, when the superheroes gathered at the fortress to plan their next move, a violent scream was heard by everyone in their minds. It was by the infected Martian Manhunter, who soon attacked the fortress and impaled Lex Luthor. He also infected Barry Allen, following which Firestorm killed him. This is how Martian Manhunter met his end in the saga. Flash. Since the moment the infection began to spread, everyone was careful about not letting any speedster get infected. Needless to say, if a speedster succumbed to the corrupted anti-life equation, the infection would spread at the speed of sound or even light. However, all that effort was wasted after Martian Manhunter infected Barry Allen in DCeased issue number 5. Before Firestorm took down Martian Manhunter, he infected Barry Allen, who soon began running at top speed across the globe, spreading the infection. With no other option, Superman chose to take down Barry. He did not try to catch him, as that would be quite impossible, even for Superman, and instead he began flying around Earth in the opposite direction at top speed. He collided with Barry and disintegrated him into pieces. Superman. Since the day the infection affected Earth, there was one hero who extended his help consistently without getting infected, and that was the Man of Steel. He saved thousands and also took necessary precautions. He switched to his X-ray vision so that the infection could not harm him via screens, and continued rescuing survivors from many cities. Superman was one of the biggest hopes for the survivors, and when he was infected, it brought despair to everyone. In DCeased issue number 5, when Superman collided with an infected Barry Allen and disintegrated him, a few infected body parts of the Flash managed to penetrate his skin and infect him. Superman immediately returned to the Fortress of Solitude and asked Wallace to connect him, his mom, wife and son to the Speed Force so that he could get some time to talk to them. Superman expressed his gratitude to his family members and bid farewell to them. He flew at top speed into the upper atmosphere, where he finally succumbed to the infection. Following the corruption of Superman, all hopes of surviving the pandemic were lost. The heroes then decided to evacuate the planet via spaceships called ARCs. The sanctuaries at Themyscira and Gotham began evacuating its survivors. While transporting them was easy at Gotham, Themyscira was attacked by an infected Aquaman and his infected Atlantean army. The Amazonians fought against them, and many were infected while helping survivors escape safely. However, the real threat was an infected Superman, who could take down the two Arcs in a heartbeat. Damian had a piece of kryptonite, but that would certainly not be enough to take down the infected Man of Steel. It was then Diana who came up with a plan. She made a sword forged out of magic and kryptonite, the exact weaknesses of Superman, and left with Diana and Cyborg to confront Superman. Diana, before becoming the Green Lantern, was known as Black Canary and had the power to create massive ultrasonic vibration. When the trio met the infected Superman, Diana used her ring to create a massive megaphone through which she screamed at Superman at the top of her voice. The massive ultrasonic sound slowed down Superman, but not for long. Superman charged at her before Wonder Woman used her sword and sliced off Superman's arm. The two of the strongest known beings on the planet fought against each other. Diana might not be as strong as Superman, but she was a pretty strong warrior. She impaled her sword through Superman, but the latter remained unfazed and impaled her back with his arm. Wonder Woman was down, and off went Superman to attack the escaping spaceships. Wonder Woman was down, but there was no time for remorse. While Cyborg stayed back, Diana charged towards Superman with Wonder Woman's sword. Next was Superboy, who left the Ark to stop his infected dad. It would have been one of the proud moments of his father as the child of that age chose to fight against his unstoppable dad. Superboy and Superman collided, and both were knocked out for a while. Soon Diana arrived, and she wasted no time calling out to all the Green Lanterns. All the Green Lanterns arrived along with the Guardians, and the infected Superman, realizing his low chances of winning, chose to dive into the sun to absorb all its energy. 5 years later, Superman was revived when the cure was found, and he continued fighting against the undead. Wonder Woman. Following her confrontation with Superman, Wonder Woman was next to get infected. However, before she could completely transform into the undead, Diana left for Superman. Only Cyborg remained, as he was impervious to the infection. He used Wonder Woman's lasso of truth to tie the infected Wonder Woman's hands and demand to learn more about the virus. Cyborg asked her about the cure, to which the anti-life equation confirmed that there was a cure to this, and it was none other than Cyborg himself. This was a horrific revelation, as so many had to die from being infected. While Cyborg remained awestruck, the infected Wonder Woman attacked him and tore off his head. Despite the Justice League members trying their best to rescue as many survivors as possible, many remained on Earth. Luckily, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn remained, for which the sanctuary at Gotham was held intact. Many survivors managed to reach Poison Ivy's jungle, where they remained safe, while some died on the way. Since the infected Wonder Woman remained on Earth, she became one of the biggest threats on the planet, and single-handedly killed many characters. At some point, a group of survivors, led by the popular villains of DC, tried reaching Poison Ivy's jungle. During their journey, they had to face Wonder Woman, who killed villains like Cheetah, Grundy, Creeper, and Deathstroke. The story is showcased in the DCeased Unkillables comic series. As 5 years passed, Cyborg's head managed to deliver one last signal to Batman's network via the chip he had previously installed in him. Soon the superheroes returned for him, and they had to face Wonder Woman, who Green Lantern Diana finally killed. Captain Cold. After the outbreak of the techno-organic virus, billions of people were infected within hours. While the heroes took it upon themselves to save as many people as possible, many villains and characters struggled to stay alive. On day 2, Deathstroke, while on a mission to eliminate a white supremacist group that was reportedly setting a few churches on fire somewhere in Kentucky, encountered several infected beings and was infected. However, his healing factor reverted him back to normal, following which he rescued his daughter Rose Wilson. During the same time, Jason Todd, aka Red Hood, arrived at Wayne Manor, and upon finding the corpse of Red Robin, Nightwing and Batman, gave them a proper burial. He left with a Batmobile and arrived at GCPD, where Commissioner Gordon and Batgirl Cassandra Cain struggled against infected officers. He rescued them and arrived at the outskirts of Bloodhaven, where a bunch of orphans had taken refuge in a building. Meanwhile, while the Wilsons are visited by the Mirror Master at the request of Vandal Savage to offer protection and exchange of their skills. They travelled through Mirror Master's portals and arrived at Savage's sanctuary, Ball's Pyramid. They met Solomon Grundy, the Creeper, Cheetah, Captain Cold, Lady Shiva, Bane and Deadshot there. However, it was soon revealed that Savage took a keen interest in Slade's healing abilities, and so he trapped him in a room where Grundy would be dissecting him. However, Slade's daughter had the power to see the future, and she knew this would happen. She sneaked in and impaled Vandal Savage and left with Slade. While they were going, Vandal mockingly asked Rose what future she saw after this, to which she said she did not want to ruin the surprise. The surprise was none other than an infected Wonder Woman arriving at their location and tore Vandal in half. While the rest managed to escape via Mirror Master's mirrors, Captain Cold was attacked by Wonder Woman and was infected. Mirror Master. Ivan Mikulov, aka the Mirror Master, was a supervillain who could travel through dimensions using his mirror. He was the greatest asset to the team of supervillains assembled by Vandal Savage at Ball's Pyramid. While being in a shelter, Lady Shiva, with the help of Mirror Master, visited her daughter, Cassandra Cain, at the orphanage in Bloodhaven. She arrived to take Cassandra with her, but the latter denied, stating that she would not leave without the rest of the survivors. The mother-daughter argument soon turned into hand-to-hand combat, but was stopped by Commissioner Gordon. Lady Shiva would not let anyone else join her group of survivors, while Cassandra Cain wouldn't leave without them, for which the former returned back to Pyramid's Ball via Mirror Master's portal. However, peace at Ball's Pyramid was short-lived, as an infected Wonder Woman arrived and attacked the survivors. Vandal Savage was split in half, while Grundy was brutally punched. The remaining villains included Bane, Deadshot, Deathstroke and Captain Cold, but it was futile against the infected Amazonian warrior. While the others engaged her, Mirror Master opened a portal to the Bloodhaven orphanage and transported Shiva, Cheetah, Grundy, Creeper, Rose Wilson, Deadshot and Deathstroke. He even left for another trip to rescue Captain Cold, but it was too late. When he arrived at Ball's Pyramid, the entire place was covered in ice from where Wonder Woman emerged. Mr. Master immediately sought to escape, but his friend Captain Cold, who was already infected, leaped onto him and infected him as well. The team of villains and Commissioner Gordon left their differences aside and decided to work together. A harmony was achieved momentarily when the villains and the rest became roommates. They even taught the kids ways of defending themselves against the undead. The issue beautifully carved out the goodness in the villains and how they enjoyed being respected and looked upon. The team of survivors planned an escape to Poison Ivy Sanctuary in Gotham via school buses. Although traveling through millions of infected citizens was far from easy, things got worse after an infected Mirror Master arrived from the Mirror Dimension and infected Bane. He did not stop there and targeted the taking of the children by emerging from different mirrors in the orphanage. Deadshot sacrificed himself to save one of the orphans, while the rest wasted no time in destroying all the mirrors. They managed to get on board the buses and began their journey, with Jason and Rose leading in the Batmobile. Mirror Master's wrath did not stop yet, and he used the glasses and screens in the buses to pop out and take away children and infect them. He was finally killed by Cheetah when he tried taking another child. Billy Batson. We have seen the outcome of having an infected Black Adam, which certainly left us wondering what happened to Billy Batson, aka Shazam. In DCeased Unkillables issue number 2, after surviving villains from Ball's Pyramid arrived at Bloodhaven's orphanage, they came across the door where all the infected students were locked in. According to the orphan children and Letitia Lerner, a superhero girl had arrived and locked everyone in the room, and then she was never seen again. The team of villains did not want any infected to stay in the building and decided to kill them. Jason escorted Gordon away from the room and opened its door to decimate the infected. Once they opened, they noticed Billy Batson among the infected. Lucky for them, Billy was infected in his human state, for which it would not exist in his divine form, for which the team of villains eradicated each and every one of them. Bane. While Bane was enjoying his stay at the orphanage, an infected Mirror Master appeared and scratched Bane, thereby getting him infected. While the orphans and the team of villains and Gordon were about to leave the orphanage for the buses, the infected Bane emerged along with many infected undeads. It was Solomon Grundy who, in a fit of rage, tore his head off and killed him. Lady Shiva. DCeased Unkillables issue number 3 had one of the best climaxes in the series. The finale showcased epic battles between the infected and anti-heroes along with the end for many characters. The team consisted of Jason Todd, Gordon, 3 anti-heroes, 6 supervillains and 41 children, all of whom left for Poison Ivy's garden in Gotham in 2 buses and a Batmobile through millions of infected undead. They picked up a decent pace and things were going well until the first problem arrived with an infected Mirror Master. After taking 2 children, he was killed by a cheetah. However, the next problem was the biggest of all. The infected Wonder Woman crash landed on the Batmobile and got Jason and Rose unconscious. Cheetah leapt out of one of the buses, followed by Creeper and Solomon Grundy. They gave a good fight and managed to slow her down considerably. There were also thousands of the blighted ones surrounding Poison Ivy's jungle, and Cassandra got down and began slaying them. She was soon joined by her mother, Lady Shiva, and the two, after many taking down many, outran them. Cassandra managed to get on board safely, but Shiva got scratched by one of the undead. With no other option, she bid farewell to her daughter and left the bus. She then ripped out her own heart and killed herself. The death of Shiva was followed by the death of many other characters. While Deathstroke managed to hold off an entire horde, Wonder Woman choked Cheetah to death, ripping off Cheetah's head and impaled Grundy. She then flew through Slade, destroying all his organs and killing him. The school bus holding the rest was tossed into the air, into the core of the infected, before one of the orphans screamed out Shazam and turned out to be Mary Marvel. Mary Marvel was one of the members of the Shazam family and possessed enormous strength. However, she was trained by the anti-heroes all this while. She knocked out Wonder Woman rather easily and escorted the school bus into Poison Ivy's jungle. Big Barda. Amongst other notable characters that stayed behind on Earth were Big Barda, Mr. Terrific, Mr. Miracle, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Zatanna and Dr. Faith. Their part of the story was elaborated in the one-shot comic strip titled DCeased, A Good Day to Die. While Big Barda and Scott made a visit to their planet, Apocalypse, which was completely destroyed, Mr. Terrific was trying to reverse the virus for a cure. He had an infected Captain Boomerang restrained for research, from whose blood samples he realized that the virus was apocalyptian in nature. He soon found Barda and Scott, and together they planned to find a cure for the virus. They arrived at Cord Industries and rescued Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, following which Mr. Terrific came up with 2 options. The first was to try to solve it with magic, and the second was something far worse, and Mr. Terrific did not reveal that. In an attempt to solve the crisis with magic, they tracked John Constantine, who was yet unaffected by the virus, and after saving him from a horde of undead, they asked for his help. John Constantine stated that he had already tried and did not wish to help them any further. The last option was then revealed, and it solved Booster Gold using his time machine to go back in time and fix everything. Booster Gold's time machine was kept at the residence of Fire and Ice in Malibu, and already infected. The 5 of them traveled in the Blue Beetle's bug, arriving at their destination. There were hordes of infected, and then suddenly fire appeared and made Blue Beetle's bug crash. Scott and Barda decided to hold back the anti-living so that the rest could complete the time-traveling mission. While doing so, the two were overwhelmed by the combined powers of fire and ice and were soon surrounded and taken down by the anti-living. An infected Barda was then seen attacking the rest of the teammates. She easily overpowered Mr. Terrific and tore his body in half. It was later revealed that Mr. Miracle had escaped owing to his knack for escaping, leaving only to get attacked. Mr. Miracle later moved her to a habitable moon near Alpha Centauri and restrained her. When the cure was obtained after 5 years, they arrived on the moon and cured her of the infection. Blue Beetle. Blue was one of the heroes who stuck together with Mr. Terrific's plan of sending Booster Gold back in time to find a cure for the ongoing pandemic. While Big Barda and Mr. Miracle fought against the infected ones, Booster Gold, Mr. Terrific and Blue Beetle entered the room with the time machine. Unfortunately, it was guarded by the Wave Rider, who did not allow them to time travel. John Constantine arrived as well and tried convincing Wave Rider in his own ways. However, it was too late, as the Booster Gold slowly started disappearing. Since Booster Gold from the future, after the virus eliminated the source of his birth from the present, he lost his existence and faded away. By then, the anti-living BARDA had arrived and infected Blue Beetle after killing Mr. Terrific. Blue Beetle got infected and in turn attacked and infected the Wave Rider, while John managed to escape with the help of Dr. Fate and Zatanna. Following this, John Constantine and a few of the survivors at Poison Ivy's garden formed a team known as the Shadow Pact and rescued survivors across the globe. Green Arrow. Green Arrow was one of the characters that survived all through the 6 issues of the DCeased comic series. However, later in the first issue of DCeased Dead Planet, he too was infected. It had been 5 years since 2 arcs with survivors managed to survive an infected Superman and left Earth. CYBORG was decapitated and immobilized by an infected Wonder Woman after he learnt the existence of a cure for the infection, and Earth's sun, where Superman was still feeding on solar energy, was kept under watch by some of the Green Lanterns. The survivors that left Earth settled on another planet with similar habitat. Although they struggled slightly with another alien habitat, the human race was at peace. When Damian and John received CYBORG's encrypted coded message, they, along with Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Dinah, Hawkgirl and Wonder Girl, planned on taking a look at it. They arrived near CYBORG's decapitated head, and after Wonder Girl placed her lasso around, it spoke. The horde of infected was soon to arrive, and they quickly prepared to leave with CYBORG's head and body. However, the infected Wonder Woman arrived and scratched Green Arrow. Dinah could not bear the loss and quickly impaled Diana with the same sword that she had given her. Unfortunately, the sword passed through Superboy's shoulders as well, who arrived to pass CYBORG's message that there was a cure. The infected Green Arrow was brought to Poison Ivy's sanctuary, as Dinah would not leave him amongst the million infected. When the cure was made, he was revived, and he reunited with his love, Dinah. Plastic Man. Although underrated, Patrick O'Brien, aka the Plastic Man, is one of the most useful and powerful among Earth's superheroes. His plastic-like skin was extremely durable and helped him shapeshift into almost anything. In the DCeased saga, he made his appearance in DCeased Dead Planet, issue number 2, as one of the anti-living. While many survivors left Earth and many sheltered inside Poison Ivy's sanctuary, some survivors managed to fend off the infected ones. One such camp was at Chicago, defended by Arsenal. However, after managing for 5 years, one fine day, an infected fire arrived and burned Arsenal to death. Fortunately, the Shadow Pact team, consisting of Blue Devil, Detective Chimp, John Constantine, Ragman, Ravager, Red Hood and Zatanna arrived and rescued the survivors of the camp. Alec Holland also arrived, and after taking down all the infected ones in one go, asked John Constantine to help him save the Greens from dying somewhere in Australia. While Red Hood and Ravager escorted the survivors to Poison Ivy's garden safely, the rest of them accompanied the Swamp Thing to Australia. They arrived at the spot near a bunker where a garden was screaming for help to Swamp Things. The bunker had survivors and was surrounded by hellfire, a blood moat, and millions of blighted ones. In an attempt to save the survivors, Zatanna used a spell to carry them over the horde of anti-living, the blood moat, and the hellfire. However, while flying over, Bobo realized that the blood moat was actually an infected Plastic Man. The shapeshifter impaled his tendrils through Ragman and killed him. But when he tried to take down Zatanna, Blue Devil cut his drills only to be impaled later and killed. It was then that the Swamp Thing enveloped everyone in a ball of plants impenetrable by Plastic Man. Detective Chimp and John Constantine helped Zatanna recover her senses, following which she cast a spell to drive the hellfire through all the infected ones. It was soon carried out, and Plastic Man was killed in the process. New Gods. As mentioned earlier, Darkseid was the first being actually to get infected with the corrupted anti-life equation. While Earth was heavily infected with the techno-organic virus, Darkseid was left unchecked. Following his infection, he destroyed Apocalypse and then went to New Genesis. It was not shown how the new gods in New Genesis responded to the infection or the infected Darkseid, but when Supergirl arrived, all of them were shown to be infected. Highfather, Orion, Light Ray, the Forever People, and all the rest of them had succumbed to the corrupted anti-life equation and had become a part of the undead. Supergirl. Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, was introduced to the DCeased saga in DCeased War of the Undead Gods, issue number 1. The story begins from the time when her parents boarded her on a spaceship after a Brainiac attacked planet Krypton. They sent her to live amongst the gods on New Genesis. As her spaceship left Krypton, the planet exploded. She traveled for years before finally arriving on New Genesis. There she developed her solar-based powers, but the infected new gods appeared before it could progress. While all these happened while she traveled, the new gods were infected by Darkseid, and being such strong beings, they easily overpowered her and made her one of the anti-living. The horde of undead gods and Supergirl joined Darkseid's crusade to infect the entire universe. Green Lanterns and the Sinestro Corps stopped them, but an infected Darkseid and Supergirl were not easy to take down. She fought against them while Darkseid crushed Sinestro's head and became the wielder of his Yellow Lantern power ring. Adam Strange. Although Darkseid was the sole reason the infection spread across the cosmos, Adam Strange from planet Rann got infected during his visit to Earth. It was showcased in DCeased War, the Undead Gods, issue number 3. The Thanagarians and the Rannians were often engaged in a war against each other, and it was no different when the corrupted anti-life equation brought Earth to its destruction. In the battle, Adam Strange, the warrior from Rann, fought relentlessly against the Thanagarian force until he was teleported to Earth as the Zeta beams that had brought him to Rann began to wear off. On Earth, he arrived in Gotham and found the city in complete ruins. Adam quickly traced the coordinates of the next Zeta beam and proceeded towards it. On his way back, he saw Wonder Woman flying. He was completely unaware of the infection and hence had no clue about Wonder Woman being infected. Upon noticing him, Adam Strange called for Wonder Woman, who charged towards him at top speed and pierced her hand through his chest, thereby infecting him. During his absence from the battlefield, the Thanagarians overpowered the Rannians and captured Adam's wife and child. After 2 weeks, the infected Adam Strange returned to Rann and began infecting others, including his wife and daughter. Mr. Mxyzptlk. Mr. Mxyzptlk was a nigh omnipotent being and could warp reality at his will. While Darkseid and the horde of infected new gods spread the infection exponentially across the galaxy, the Guardians called for a meeting with all Green Lanterns and other powerful superheroes. Superman, Superboy, Miss Marvel, Damian Wayne and Cassandra Cain were also present. The topic for the meeting was the growing concerns about the infection, and the Guardians decided to exterminate the infected beings and infected planets. Superman opposed this, for which the Ganthet contained him in a bubble. Superman broke his way out and punched Ganthet in the face. Soon a fight emerged, and it was Damian who then observed that Ares, god of war, who was present there, had initiated it. While Damian asked Ares to stop manipulating them, Mr. Mxyzptlk arrived and made everyone stop. While everyone engaged in an argument, Darkseid's forces were revealed to be then infecting the planet Bolovax-Vik in Sector 674. Kilowog was from the planet Bolovax-Vik and immediately rushed to the planet's aid. Mr. Mxyzptlk and Superman joined forces to take down Darkseid and were also joined by Superboy. The Guardians refrained from participating after learning that Erebos, the god of the dead, was behind the corrupted anti-life equation and decided to protect the Green Lantern Central Power Battery on Oa. However, Kilowog's followers and friends rushed for his help without hesitation. On Bolovax-Vik, Superman was attacked by infected Supergirl and Darkseid. Mr. Mxyzptlk was too overconfident. He approached the infected Darkseid and pondered what he could transform him into, casually, which backfired terribly. The virus could not have infected Mr. Mxyzptlk physically, but he could still see. Darkseid did not give him the time to think and exposed him to his infected mother box, displaying the corrupted anti-life equation. Soon, the nigh omnipotent being became infected and all hopes of attaining victory faded away. He crushed the Green Lanterns like bugs and exploded the planet into bits. He then made his way to Oa for the central battery and destroyed it completely. Numerous Green Lanterns were then in space, and with the destruction of their power source, they were about to die a painful death. However, the Spectre arrived to defend the non-infected and began fighting the infected Mr. Mxyzptlk. A fight of unimaginable magnitude broke out between the two ultra-powerful cosmic beings. While Superman tried to help the Spectre, Mr. Mxyzptlk tore off the host Jim Corrigan from Spectre. However, it was not the end for the Spectre. Soon the undead New Gods and Darkseid arrived on Oa and began their attack. The infected Highfather attacked Damian before Alfred, and that was enough to set him off. Alfred was already in deep agony since the day he shot the infected Bruce, Dick and Tim, and seeing Damian hurt made him scream out in agony, which was heard by the Spirit of Vengeance, and he became the new Spectre. Brainiac. Brainiac was introduced in the DCeased saga in DCeased War of the Undead Gods issue number 6, where his probes were shown to be moving towards Earth 2. They destroyed every probe following Brainiac's vessel in orbit. Superman and Superboy entered the vessel and found Brainiac's body completely torn apart. The infected New Gods attacked Brainiac. The heroes rescued Brainiac, and he was also there on Oa while the Guardians decided to eradicate the infected ones. However, when Mr. Mxyzptlk arrived on Oa, he was followed by the infected Darkseid and the infected New Gods. While Superboy fought Darkseid, Brainiac tried grabbing the infected giant from behind, but only to be stopped and infected by Darkseid. Brainiac immediately returned to his vessel and planned on destroying the cities he had previously captured, but CYBORG arrived to stop him. CYBORG and Brainiac fought, with the former overpowering Brainiac and taking control of his systems. Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne was one of the most important characters in the DCeased saga. He made his first appearance in DCeased issue number 1 and continued till the very last issue of the saga, DCeased War of the Undead Gods issue number 8. After the death of Bruce, the mantle of Batman was passed on to him, and he fought the infected ones innumerable times alongside his friend Jonathan Kent, aka Superboy. In the 7th issue of War of the Undead Gods, he was infected by the undead Highfather, which triggered Alfred to such an extent that the Spirit of Vengeance chose him to become the new Spectre. Damian was infected, but Alfred, the new Spectre, traveled to Earth and brought innumerable supplies of the cure which revived the infected Damian Wayne. Peace was momentarily achieved as the larger threat, Erebos, still continued spreading the infection. Damian then came up with a plan to put an end to Erebos. He did not disclose the complete plan but summoned a team of powerful superheroes and villains. The plan included reaching Erebos and making two significant attacks, one to distract him and the other to make a crack in his body. They reached Erebos on Warworld via Doom Tubes, following which Ares and Black Racer attacked the gigantic Erebos. Meanwhile, Superman, Superboy, Miss Marvel, Darkseid and Green Lantern Diana created a crack in the behemoth. According to the plan, Damian and CYBORG would direct Warworld with a life equation inside him. However, when the duo entered Erebos, Damian revealed his plans. He had previously found the life equation in CYBORG, which he removed from and took into himself. He also made CYBORG forget all conversations between them via the controls Bruce had planted in him years ago and initiated a flight pattern for his return. Damian remained inside, and it caused a huge expansion that destroyed Erebos and created a universe in them. Spectre and Superboy visited Damian before the explosion, and he peacefully bid farewell to his friend and his father figure. Thus, Erebos was destroyed along with the corrupted anti-life equation. Conclusion. The DCeased was one of the most thrilling comic series which had a lot of surprises throughout. There were numerous popular characters that met their demise, while some infected characters were terrifying. The moment when Wonder Woman arrived to stop the Unkillables from entering Poison Ivy's jungle escalated the tension to the next level, following which Miss Marvel revealed herself. Even Alfred becoming the Spectre was something hard to predict, but beautifully woven into the saga. We would like to conclude our video here, and we hope you have enjoyed our content. Let us know in the comment section which character from the DCeased saga was your favorite. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.